team. I had to phone this one in from my home office this morning. I've got class and I've got to miss the meeting today, but Tammy wanted me to be able to share my story of what happened on Friday. And so I just wanted to go through a couple of points here, things that I did, where there was a hiccup, and how I was able to pull this thing finally through with the assistance of a couple of other people. First of all, we have to hit that value proposal. I got people to drive up. I spoke to these clients Thursday at around 6 o'clock at night, and they were on the road at 8 o'clock the next morning. And all of that was because of the value proposal of coming north. So we really got to be able to hit that. As far as my parking lot speech, I guess in a sense, when I went up to the property first and I staged it. And in general real estate, we're taught to do this by turning on all lights and kinds of other things, cleaning up things that don't need to be there. And what I did in the properties is I actually rehearsed how I was going to drive them in. In fact, I brought them in a completely different way to Centerbrook Farm in order to wind up right at the corner of one of the lots and where I was going to walk. And I was running around the properties like a maniac, creating footprints, believe it or not, making it look like there was a lot of activity there. So staging was part of it. I met the clients at the diner, and I went through my value proposal with all my documents, went through the lot information statement and everything that we've been trained to do. So you've got to be very specific and know your product and know the documentation that you're going to later hopefully have these clients sign. And then we went out to the property and we did exactly what I had rehearsed, which was stop at the corner of one of the lots, walk the road frontage, walk each of the properties, and then look back and you can't see the vehicle. And it's an awesome feeling. The pinning of the properties is fantastic, and these clients actually really like that. The flags, everything worked out as far as that goes. And then we walked in the last property, which was 26, which is where there was a little stream there. And of course that was a beautiful property. It was a beautiful day, so part of that was luck, that the weather was working in my favor. And we walked the road frontage, went back in on the other property and walked around. The husband's knees were giving out a little bit, so they didn't want to do a whole lot of walking. But what happened where there was a hiccup is on the side of the road, we went over everything all over again, the price and all of that. And these folks, I was dealing with Indians, and there are certain cultural aspects you're going to have to learn about people. And one of the ones that I know, and Bob knew it very well as well, is some people really just want a deal. And I call it the garage sale mentality. It doesn't matter what the price is, and it doesn't matter what they go to. They have to walk away thinking that they got something more than what everybody else gets. So this is going to be a difficult part of the process. And that's what they did. They wanted me to call Bob, they wanted me to call the office and put in a verbal offer over the phone. I stuck to my guns, we don't take offers. And after a little while, it looked like, and this was the hiccup in the process, it looked like the deal was going to start to go down the drain. At the same time, I knew I had these folks up here just hours after I had talked to them, and so I hit the value proposal to bring them up. So I went to the truck and I was going to call Lauren actually and just make a fake phone call and then go back to them and say, I'm sorry, this is the price, kind of take it or leave it. And what I did is I called Bob, and I'm glad I did. And Bob said, write their offer up, highest and best, and leave it on my desk, and on Monday I'll come in and I'll just take a look at it, but let them know that we are going to continue to show this property. And that's it. So they are not guaranteed owners by any stretch of the imagination today. And what I did is I sat in the truck. I needed to take a couple of minutes, and I think that's one of the tools you need to do is walk away for a few seconds. And we've done it on the phones where we put somebody on hold, and that's what I did. I put them on hold and let them wonder what I was doing in the truck, which was reorganizing my thoughts. And I wanted to give them a quick value proposal, and Tom's words actually were rolling through my head that I didn't hit the value proposal well enough, and that's why they were talking about money. They were not talking about the property. And so I took a few minutes, I went back to the truck, I dropped my notebook, we drove in separate vehicles because they wanted to, on the window of their truck in like a frustrated sort of way. I called the Jersey a-hole that came out in me, and it was the business side of my brain that is, this is cut and dry. We don't take offers. What I've been instructed to do, you can write up an offer if you choose to. And I stretched Bob's words out a little bit more. He really couldn't care less whether the offer was in the office or not. And I said, if he's in the office Monday or Tuesday, he'll probably take a look at it then. But at this point in time, we're going to continue to market this property through the weekend. And I was fortunate enough to have my map sitting right in front of me and I showed them the 4 parcels, and knowing this culture, what they also want is control. They know exactly what they came up here for, and they didn't want a hole in their properties. They didn't want to buy 2 and less one and then another one, and they didn't want to lose either of the end ones because they were the nicest ones. And so they told me that if they were going to write up the offer, that they would do so, but if they couldn't get all 4 properties, then they didn't want any of them. And I said, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. And then I used the old police officer silence. Shut your mouth, and you've got to know when to do it. And I did. And I let them sit very uncomfortably thinking they're risking everything right now. Then I let them off the hook, and I said, let's go back to the diner. How's that? We'll go get some coffee. At this point, it was turning to nighttime anyway. And we went back to the diner, and fortunately, across the street from the diner, it was still dusk, there is a ratty little property that I was able to use as a prop and say, you could be buying that. It's not surveyed. I have no idea whether it is or not. It's not even for sale as far as I know. It's swampland, it's this, it's that. And those are the risks that you take in buying. And then I went through something that Tammy and I had talked about earlier, is a lot of the risks in buying land. I had done that in my initial proposal, but I went back over that and using the land across the street as the prop. And at that point in time, it was one of those take it or leave it things. It's been nice knowing you. I'm glad you came up here. What do you want to do? And there were a few other techniques that I used along the way. I got in good with the wife because of a story that I was able to tell about my father, and she identified with it very well. And you have to have that human contact at some point here. You've got to make friends with people, because it's more difficult to tell your friend no than anybody else. And so that was, for the most part, that was it. At that point in time, we went over the map again. I let them know the risks, that they were not going to be guaranteed property owners, and I was told to write it up. So I wrote the whole thing up. What I will say is that the training works. Let the training kick in. Remember it. Be very prepared for a lot of their objections, because what I do find with a lot of these folks is they're always trying to put holes in our story, that the property is too cheap, or there's something wrong with this sale. What's really going on here? And as long as you're prepared for those kinds of questions, I call them the 911 ones. I know, Bob, you don't like that, but it worked. It worked this time, and I think it's going to work in the field. So remember Tom's words of nailing that value proposal, and remember Bob's words of use that disconnect. That, if you don't buy it, that's okay. I'm not here to sell it to you. I'm just here to sell it. And you can either be the buyer or somebody else can be the buyer. And don't give up. But at the same time, when I was sitting in that truck thinking, are these guys wasting my time? And I think you're going to find clients like that people that are just coming out, they're not ready to be buyers yet. And that's okay. Don't let that discourage you. And even if I had walked away from this, it would have been a discouraging day, but it wouldn't have discouraged me from this. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pumped up. I see a new sense of opportunity here, and I hope the whole team feels that. And we've got 2 more parcels to unload in there, and so we can move on. So Alan, get to work, because I need some inventory. I got some calls to make.